Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1548B, and today's date is April 18th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Sleeper Cells Activated, Bad Booms, Incoming Threat Real. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are losing ground in the fight for the case against Trump with Russian collusion. And Mueller, he's not even looking for Russian collusion anymore. He's going in all different directions, hoping to find something. And the corporate media, they're just trying to find anything to say, yes, there is Russian collusion. They're still on this. And a spokesperson for the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller released a warning about the media's many fake news reports regarding the investigation into Trump and Russian collusion. Now, this is very interesting because this is coming from Mueller telling the corporate media to stop with these stories that are not fact-driven. And what he's saying is, what I've been telling all reporters, is that many stories about our investigation have been inaccurate. The Mueller spokesman said, "Be very cautious about any source that claims to have knowledge about our investigation and dig deep into what they claim before reporting on it. If another outlet reports something, don't run with it unless you have your own sourcing to back it up." Now, this is kind of sad because they were all behind Mueller. They want the Russian collusion. And since they went in and they raided Cohen's office, they put out a story that they have proof that Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, had in fact visited Prague in August of 2016. So, again, we need to go back and we need to think, well, Cohen already proved that he was never in Prague. And the reason why they want this to be true, that he was in Prague, because it would validate the Steele dossier. And we know this is completely discredited. We know the Clinton campaign manufactured it, paid for it, and this was put out there because of the 2016 election. Cohen has already offered documents to prove he was not in Prague. So any of these claims are fake, phony, and false. And this is why Mueller is out there, because the corporate media is just going with it. When they hear this information, of course, where did the sources are anonymous. That's what they're quoting as usual, which means that they have no facts behind any of this. And guess what? Mueller is out there probably saying, I don't have anything. So why are you reporting on this? Because I'm going to come up empty-handed and I'm going to look like a fool because you're out there telling everyone that I have something when I really don't. Just like the corporate media before said, oh, wait until Comey testifies. Oh, wait until... And it all turned up to be absolutely nothing. Now, we can see that things are getting very tough for Lynch, Clinton, Comey, Rosenstein, because 11 GOP members of Congress, led by Representative Ron DeSantis, they've written a letter to Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Attorney John Huber, and FBI Director Christopher Wray, asking them to investigate James Comey, Hillary Clinton, and others, including Strzok and Lisa Page. And they want all of this investigated. Now, remember, Q came out and he made a post on April 10th, post number 1122, saying, trust Sessions, trust Wray, trust Kansas, trust Horowitz, trust Huber. And they're leading this investigation into all of these individuals. Now, the letter demands that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein be recused from any examination of FISA abuse and recommends that neither U.S. Attorney John Huber nor Special Counsel should report to Rosenstein. The letter refers the following individuals for the following conduct: James Comey, obstruction, perjury, corruption, stealing public property or records, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information, unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents, false statements. The letter calls Comey out for leaking his confidential memos. There's that memos thing to the press. Hillary Clinton, contributions and donations by foreign nationals. A lawyer representing the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee paid Washington firm Fusion GPS to conduct research that led to the Steele dossier. Accordingly, for disguising payments to Fusion GPS on mandatory disclosures to the Federal Election Commission, we refer Hillary Clinton to the Department of Justice for potential violation of U.S. 52 30121 and 52 U.S.C. 30101. Loretta Lynch, obstruction, corruption. We raised concerns regarding her decision to threaten with reprisal the former FBI informant who tried to come forward in 2016 with insight into the Uranium One deal. Now remember, Loretta Lynch, well, she lied for Clinton. Uranium One deal, the Clinton emails. And coming from Q, what was Loretta Lynch promised? Loretta Lynch was promised the Supreme Court position if Hillary got through. This is what Q is saying. This is how this went down. This is why Loretta Lynch didn't do anything. Andrew McCabe, false statements, perjury, obstruction. During the internal Hillary Clinton investigation, Mr. McCabe lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, obstruction, corruption. And we can see this is the beginning stages where these investigations, they have the people in place. They're going to be getting rid of Rosenstein. Most likely he's going to be investigated and he's going to be added to all of the lists of these individuals. And once they start diving into all of this, which they're already doing, but this is going to be bringing this out into the open and people are going to start to realize what is going on here. The corporate media most likely will not report on any of this, but eventually they're going to have to mention it because it's going to get bigger and bigger. And of course, you know Trump is going to tweet about it all the time. Now, it looks like Pompeo visited Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Trump admitted to this. He visited Kim Jong-un during Easter, talking about denuclearization. And what's very interesting about all of this is that there were no leaks. Think about it. Nobody knew there were talks behind the scenes. The corporate media didn't know. The deep state didn't know. They didn't leak anything. And we need to go back to Q's post 970, March 28th. House cleaning. White House secured. Final stage. Which shows us that the White House is now secure. They were able to keep this from everyone. No one knew what was going on. And they only found out about it because they allowed them to find out about it. We see right now that the U.S. told the Russian embassy no new sanctions are coming. Now we know Nikki Haley was out there and she is basically firing back at the White House because she was saying that sanctions are going to be placed on Russia. Trump was out there saying no, sanctions are not going to be placed on Russia. And it looks like they're headbutting right now. And I think Nikki Haley is going to be the next one to go. And I think what is happening here, just like with North Korea, it's a good way to find out who is with you and who is against you, who's with your policies, who's against your policies, because those who are in the deep state go off on their own and they say things that really don't correspond to what Trump, the Patriots, really want. And we can see that things are starting to really backfire. Now Putin, instead of attacking the U.S., starting World War III, and if you ever watched Putin, if you ever watched Russia, they never come out and do anything right off the bat. They don't act like that. They sit back, they watch, and they wait. And this is why every time the deep state tried to start something with them back in 2013 with the sarin gas attack in Syria, they were hoping to get Russia involved. In Ukraine, hoping to get Russia involved. In Syria, again, hoping to get Russia involved. In North Korea, hoping to get Russia involved, and China. It never, ever worked. Now, Putin is out there, and he's telling Trump, listen, let's work together here. Let's avoid escalation. Let's get together and meet. And Trump would like to meet with Putin. They haven't decided on a time or a place, but we can see right now that Russia pulled a draft law that it would have imposed sweeping counter sanctions on U.S. companies once they found out that the U.S. wasn't playing additional sanctions on Russia. They waited, and they didn't do anything. Because this whole thing with the Syrian missiles was not an attack on Russia, not an attack on Assad. This was an attack on the deep state to expose certain individuals, to hit their targets, to shut them down, to bring the troops home. We know the OPCW, they are in the Duma region. Russia and Syria invited them in. They got their visas, they got all their paperwork. The UN tried to stop them a little bit, saying they needed certain permits. They got that squared away, and they started to move into Duma. And then all of a sudden, they came under fire, which really means the deep state hired snipers to keep them away from the area. Why do they want to keep them away from ground zero? Because that's where the proof is that this was completely made up. It was staged. And they know once those inspectors go in under the watch of Russia and Syria, they're going to find out there is nothing there. Now, what's very interesting in Duma is that the Russian military is going through all the different apartment buildings, going through basements, finding tunnels and things like that. And they found an alleged chemical arsenal in a high-rise apartment building in eastern Gouda, the city of Duma. And according to Duma residents Radwan Kakal, people who worked in the basement would not allow anyone to come close to that area. They were kicked out of that area. They told us, don't come into this area, stay out. And now we can see why. Because there's chemicals, there's equipment, and it looks like they were preparing for something much, much larger. We see right now that in 2017, there was an OPCW report that says the Syrians were cooperating with the OPCW in demolishing the Barza facility. And the OPCW confirms the Syrian government said, yes, you can destroy the building. Now, this is very interesting because the building was getting ready to be destroyed, and the U.S. said they had intel that this is where Assad was creating his chemical weapons. And we know that this building was inspected, and they said, yeah, there's nothing in here. Now, the other question is whether tunnels underneath. Were they bringing in equipment, and I'm talking about the deep state, the terrorist groups inside of Syria, were they going to use this building? Or were they bringing equipment in to set this whole building up to make it look like a chemical factory and then blame it on Assad? Was that their plan while everyone was looking at the Duma region? Because what the deep state always lacked was proof, a link to Assad. And if they were able to bring the equipment in, have the OPCW come back to that specific building to do another inspection, they would have found the chemical weapon manufacturing equipment, and the OPCW would have reported this and said Assad has chemical weapons, and they would have their link. And it looks like the intel was brought to Trump's attention, saying that this is what they were planning, the deep state, and he went ahead and he destroyed this building. So this could be a possible scenario of what happened there. Now, Q is sending us many, many warnings. And post 1173 says BTT and DEFCON. BDT drop was day prior to the Bangladeshi man in New York City. DEFCON drop was day or two in advance. Booms were days in advance of San Antonio. This is a heads up. Q sounds pretty confident, like it is already in hand. Remember, the BDT, the Bangladeshi guy, thought he had bombs, and he just burned himself with fireworks. It sounds like we're being asked to watch to confirm as opposed to be on the lookout for danger. Now, in post 1175, Q says the following: we are being set up. Threat, past booms, Texas bombs, new booms, plane crash plus plane 17 drop. These people are sick, attempt to prevent drops, awakening, conspiracy, coincidence, response coming. Then he went on to say strike package 111V-B. Now, what Q is saying is that bad actors are using Q drops against the team by staging events that can be misconstrued from Q posts. For instance, they used a Texas bombing to try to tie Q to the bombing through the past boom posts. Now they're trying to shut Q down again by typing the new boom posts and the mention of a plane today with Southwest Airlines. They will stop at nothing to discredit the work of Q and to stop his message from coming out there. So basically, this plane, this Southwestern plane, it looks like they're saying it's metal fatigue, where a window broke open. A woman was almost sucked out of the plane. I think she died. Something happened to the engine where that exploded. And it looks like they're going to try to pin this on what Q has been saying. Now, what's very interesting about this is Q says plane/17 drop. This was a Southwestern airline, and they're saying it's an engine fail. What's very interesting about this is that this happened in row 17. So it happened in a seat in row 17, and Q always refers to 17 in his post. It was plane 17. Is this a coincidence? The plane was 737-149 FM, and this individual that died, she was a Wells Fargo vice president, a mother of two from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And what's very interesting about all of this is that this plane was canceled, the flight from LaGuardia to Dallas on April 16th. Did the deep state do something to this plane so they were able to have it, explode or something happen on April 17th? Now, this is very interesting. So the message is coming in that the threat is going to be domestic. Sleeper agents are now active. Prevent at all costs. The threat is real. And the strike group that the strike package 111V-B, a strike package is a group of aircraft with different capabilities that are launched together to perform a single attack mission. So it looks like something is about to happen, and Q is saying that a response is coming. They're trying to prevent this, and they know that something is on its way. Trying to link all of this to Q, that Q is the cause of all this, to shut down the Great Awakening, to prevent any additional drops, because they can see that Q continually drops this information, and more of this information is coming out to be true, as we can see now with the Syrian bombing, as we can see now with Russia doing absolutely nothing and Putin and Trump starting to talk, as we can see with the investigations with Comey, Rosenstein, Clinton, Stroke, Page, and the rest. And we're starting to see that all these pieces now are coming together. And again, April showers are going to bring May flowers. So we're starting to see a lot happening here, and I think things are going to accelerate as we move along, because as we can see, everything is tied together. What is happening out in the Middle East, the economy, all the crimes that these people have committed, all of this is coming to a head right now, and we're going to see a lot more information come out. And again, the deep state, they're going to continually push their agenda, and hopefully the Patriots, Trump, they are going to counter whatever they're going to do, just like they did with the Bangladeshi guy where he thought he had a bomb and it was just fireworks. Hopefully the next false flag, the same thing happens and nobody gets hurt, and they're able to counter this before it all happens. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.